Hi, I'm David Eastman with Eastman Estate Planning. One of the main questions we often get here at Eastman Estate Planning what is the difference between a will and a trust? And when I think about the difference between a will and a trust, it's really the three P's: privacy, protection, and price. And so let's start with privacy. Number one is the difference between a will and a trust is the trust will keep everything private, whereas a will, if we have a will and we have to go through probate, should you become incapacitated or when you pass away, then everything becomes public. Everybody gets to know what's going on. There's court hearings, court is in control, and so we lose a lot of our privacy that we'd get if we have a trust where nothing goes to court, we keep everything private. The second P is protection. What types of protections do we get with a trust that we don't get with a will? Well, if we have spendthrift children, so when we pass away and our assets pass on to our children or our grandchildren or those that we love, if they're spendthrifts, we need to protect against those spendthrifts. A trust can do that, versus a will would be an outright distribution, and we can't protect against those things. We also have protection from divorces. So we pass away, we leave our assets to our children, and they end up getting divorced after we pass away. With a trust, we can protect that inheritance from a future divorce of our children or our grandchildren. With a will, there would be no protection for those things because it's just an outright distribution. Also, protection from bankruptcies. So should we pass away and our children should go through a bankruptcy after we die, let's say they get in a car accident, they have a ton of medical expenses, and they have to declare bankruptcy to wipe those out, or credit card debt, or student loans, or things like those types of expenses that may happen. A trust can protect against those types of bankruptcies that may happen to protect the inheritance you're leaving to your loved ones, versus a will would just be an outright distribution. There'd be no protection for those things. Also protection from lawsuits. So our children, after we die, we've left them our inheritance and they get in a car accident, they get sued. Trust can protect against those lawsuits that may happen to our children or our grandchildren, versus a will, there would be no protection over the inheritance once they receive it. So privacy is number one, protection is number two, and then price is number three. And when we talk about price, you have to take into account the total cost to do either a will or a trust. The upfront cost for a trust might be a little bit more than a will would cost up front, but when you add in all the probate fees, conservatorships, guardianship issues that may occur with the will, and the lack of protection that the will would afford your children, your grandchildren, then a trust is by far the least expensive of the two to do and to create. A lot of times people will ask, well, what's the ongoing cost of a trust? Do I create this trust? Do I have to come in and see you every year? Is there an annual fee or cost that goes with it? There's no actual annual cost or maintenance with the trust. The main thing is just remembering to transfer ownership of your assets into your trust after you create it. So when you open up new bank accounts, when you buy new real estate, just make sure you always transfer ownership of those things into your trust. And that's all you need to do. There's no extra cost that is associated with the trust. So those are the main differences between a will and a trust: privacy, protection, and the price. Thanks.